So yes, Tekken 8's out this week. John did the review for it. Pretty comprehensive look at all of the platforms, including PC, including the, was it 17 upscalers?
The 17 upscaling options, yeah.
Astonishing. John, I mean, you wanted to talk
Yeah.
more about Tekken in the direct. There's a lot to go through here, so
Yeah,
have
man.
at
I
it.
mean, Tekken 8 is a gosh darn good Tekken game. And it's so good that I think it's like I haven't felt so strongly about a Tekken since like Tekken 5 maybe. It's it's so full of features, content, the fighting system itself. It feels it's the cinematic style modern Tekken, but it feels so refined and just awesome to play. It's so smooth and just man, the way the attacks come out, the new characters are great as well. Everything about it. It just this feels like something from Namco's heyday where it's the full package. It's what you expected from the best Namco fighters. And I freaking love that. And it's pretty darn good on every platform as I review on the video, which is something worth noting. Even on the Steam Deck, which gave me a little trouble initially because I had to use Proton GE, I think due to its unreleased state, whereas the demo worked without that. But even on the Steam Deck, man, you can get some really good results. But what I enjoyed about testing this for the video was that it's one of the first games I've played with that basically included every possible permutation of upscaling and anti-aliasing solutions that are used in modern games, right? So you've got DLSS, FSR1, FSR2, XESS, all the different quality levels of those. You've got a bicubic upsampler, you got NVIDIA image scaler, you've got TAAU and TSR in there. I think that's it. But then when you add up all the different variants, it comes out to like 17 or something like that. Plus, there's an image scaling slider, and there's the VRS option, which kind of separate. And then there's actually an anti-aliasing quality setting as well that controls the game's inherent like TAA. Although some of those other solutions take over the TAA duties, obviously. And what I found was interesting in that the one that's missing, the only one that's missing, and I'm actually surprised with this, is there is no DLAA as an option, and I'm not sure why. But thankfully, there is a solution to that, and that's TSR. Epic's TSR, which I've been pretty impressed with whenever it's shown up in games, but in this one especially, it is so darn good. First of all, TSR allows you to use the resolution scaler slider, so you can set it to 100% and get 4K internal rendering. That slider is disabled when using like DLSS or FSR2 because it's controlled by that. So you can set it to native 4K as I did on the screen, and then turn on TSR, and it takes over anti-aliasing. And like, it's so crystal clear. Like there's like almost zero blurring or ghosting artifacts anymore. And every other option does have the typical TAA ghosting to some degree, some worse than others. FSR2 was especially egregious on some stages where it just kind of smears the detail. And then XESS had this thing where certain types of bright colored objects would show pretty serious ghosting, like worse than the other implementations as well. So putting them side by side showed all that, but TSR was remarkably clean and smooth without, it almost eliminates it entirely, which looks great. And then I also discovered that TSR was actually performant enough to run on the Steam Deck. And that ended up being the key to getting good image quality out of the Steam Deck. Because like Steam Deck at like 60 to 65% image scale is what you need to get 60 FPS in that game. And if you use that with TAAU, the bicubic upsampler, NIS, FSR2, or XESS, it either runs too slow, or like FSR2 and TAAU, it just turns into this blurry, smeary, ugly mess because you're at 65% of 720p. That's a very low resolution, right? And those don't work with it well. It looks bad. It looks really, really blurry and nasty, and there's disocclusion artifacts all over the place. Somehow TSR manages to overcome that. Even at like 60% scale, when playing on the Steam Deck screen, you really get this feeling that it's almost, it's clearly not native res, but it feels close enough to it where it's convincing to the eye. And it ends up looking really, really sharp in motion in a way that I didn't expect. So and it
Well,
didn't.
67% of 720p, or was it 65?
65. It was bit on increments of 5%.
Okay, well, you're sort of sub 480p at that point,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is
It's
quite interesting.
super low, and TSR handles it well, like shockingly so.
It's quite an interesting use case for sort of reprojection quality analysis, because basically, surely the whole sort of side-on view of those characters is rife with disocclusion issues.
See, and
They're always in front of
fundamentally
the background.
that was the biggest problem with, and this is why the console versions seem to use like FSR1 or maybe one of the other spatial
That kind of makes
scalers
sense, I guess, now.
combined with the TAA. And I think I figured out why, because their only other option, I think TSR could have been used on consoles. I actually wonder what the performance impact would be. But FSR2 is a bad fit, because with FSR2 I found it actually looks sharper when you're just standing there, but once you start moving, the moves come out so fast that you're constantly passing in front of scenery with just like a few frames, and that causes major disocclusion artifacts. So it basically looks like there's an aura around the character where the background is constantly getting distorted.
Fizzling,
right? It's like
and stuff,
fizzling everywhere, and it's pretty bad. And so that is the problem with using most of those solutions. TA use the same on like the Steam Deck at that sub 480 resolution. It's just a mess of pixels. But the TSR option somehow manages to overcome that stuff even at low res.
Alex, has there been an upgrade to TSR in any way with recent
That's what I'm wondering.
Unreal Engine?
5.3 did handle. They added, for example, like
Alexa, stop.
Alexa, get out of here, Alexa. Unreal Engine.
Alexa gets confused when I call by your name.
Oh, Alexa.
Yeah, why not? There have been some upgrades for speed on PC and consoles, as well as some like disocclusion handling stuff.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure as of at least 5.3, and it may be going further in 5.4.
So I'd actually like to know then what the current millisecond cost is for using TSR, because I feel like we've complained a lot about FSR2 in console games over the last year. And I'm wondering at some point if developers using Unreal Engine will be able to leverage TSR instead, which is actually what Epic used in their Matrix Awakens demo, if I recall. Right. So I feel like with the way TSR is going, that's going to be a much better solution for console games if they can fit it within their frame time budget.
I think that might be the issue, because didn't you talk to the developers of Immortals of Avium Ascendant Studio about why they chose FSR2 over TSR?
And that was the reason they said it was performance-based, which maybe not the right choice.
The thing is, though, is like, as I saw with this game, if you do like FSR2 at 70% versus like TSR at 60% scale, the TSR still looks better despite an even lower pixel count. So I feel like it's worth dropping your resolution even a little bit lower if you can use TSR, provided
I guess the issue with FSR2 though is like the disocclusion handling is that almost no matter what it does, like if there's disocclusion at any res scale, it'll still do the fizzle and the fizzle behind the disocclusion too also has like a blown out look to it.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like the internal, because like TAAU usually just has like the original.
It's like a pixelated looking version.
Pixel, yeah. Yeah, and it just doesn't look great. And I think it makes a lot of sense to me that it wouldn't work at all for Tekken. Brain's gone. I would love to do Virtual Fighter. Just doesn't work there. That makes sense.
Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. But also, this is Tekken launch day. Today I finally got to play online, which was not possible for me when I was testing it. They may have set up scheduled times, but I missed those windows. So it was fun to actually go online and see the little arcade that they built to run around. There's a lot of neat attention to detail in there. But I wanted to mention that though, because the arcade arena with all those people in there waiting to play Tekken and just exploring, the frame rate does dip on the consoles, I found. So it doesn't dip while fighting, but when you're running around that lobby, it sure does. And I'm actually not even sure that it's GPU or frame rate so much as like network lag, because it has this weird kind of jitteriness to it that made me think like, is this like network lag? Because it kind of looks that way. And also if you get a bad connection on, like I found that the netcode feels very much hit or miss. Like if you're with somebody that has a good connection, and you both do, the experience feels fantastic. But if you're with somebody with a slightly iffy connection, it's bad. It feels like really broken. And that seems to be kind of the one blemish on an otherwise like stunning game, is just like the netcode situation. You really need to make sure you're playing with somebody, if you're going to play online, where your connections are a good fit for one another. Otherwise, you're just going to have a lot of that start-stop jittery feel to it.